Now, I want to talk about some things with fear. I want to talk about two different dimensions of fear that I want you to understand before you take the lead. I want to talk about the fear of failure. The fear of failure. Because many people don't go as far as they should go because they have apprehension that they won't reach their goal. So rather than to try and risk failing, they just say, I'm going to stay down here where I'm at and not try because I might lose. I might lose. I'm not going to try anything. I'm not going to own anything because I might lose it. I'm not going to buy a house because I might lose it. I'm not going to get married because I might get a divorce. I'm not going to apply for that position because I might not get it. That's madness, but that's how it is. Internal conflict. Have you given yourself permission to succeed? Or are you so intimidated by the fear of failure that you don't try? On the other side of it is the fear of success. Being afraid that you will reach your goal, but some disaster may result. These are mixed emotions. I want it, but I don't want all the stuff that comes with it. I don't want to deal with all the problems that come with it. I don't want to deal with all the disasters. I don't want to deal with the pressures that come with it. I can't handle it. I'm going to stay on this lower level. And when you do that and you reject God's opportunity, you are left with nothing but the hope of magic. Magic is when I'm just going to stay down here where it's comfortable, but some kind of magical way I'm believing that I'm going to get a blessing up here while I'm staying down here. You can't do it. It's like believing God that you're going to get pregnant and not gain weight. I want the baby, but I don't want the pregnancy. I don't want the weight. I don't want the stretch marks. I don't want to throw up in the morning. No, all of that goes along with the process. And if you will allow anyone, anything, any voice on the inside to talk you out of this moment, you will forfeit it and be stuck washing your nets when there's a great drought of fish waiting you if you have the courage to believe. What really stops us from taking the lead and coming to the forefront, a lot of times it's not the lack of talent, it's not the lack of resources, sometimes it's not the lack of education. I've been amazed at the people I have met who were highly educated and failing. Highly educated and failing. Highly educated and homeless. I worked with a guy who has a doctorate in economics and is washing cars. Just can't seem to get it together. So education alone is not the solution. I'm for education. I think it's important. It's a good thing, or we wouldn't have built the school next door. I think it's very important. But I have seen people educated and stuck. I've worked in penal institutions and seen people who were very gifted and incarcerated. Just because somebody is incarcerated or homeless doesn't mean that they don't have talent. In fact, I've seen people with less talent than you doing more than you. And until you're willing to look that in the face and say, what am I doing to sabotage my own success of moving to the next level, you'll never get there. Until you walk, and this is what causes jealousy and envy. When you look and you meet other people who have less to work with than you, and yet they're in higher positions than you, you can either become jealous or bitter, or you can begin to challenge yourself to say, what is wrong with my belief systems that's stopping me from going to the next level in this area? Okay, and I want to deal with some irrational beliefs that will stop you from moving up to the next level. This is not about money necessarily. This is not about prestige necessarily. This is about progress. Because it's a shame to live long and have no progress. I want to have progress in every area of my life. I want to see progress in parenting. I want to see progress in my relationship with my wife. I want to see, if I'm going to go to work every day, I want to see progress. I've been washing these toilets for 27 years. At least let me be the manager of the toilet washers. In 27 years, I want to move up. Anybody, maybe it's wrong. Is there anybody in here that wants to move up? Okay. I'm going to point out some things that may be hindering you from reaching that, and some of you may already be reaching it. You may have already mastered this. Just endure this review, okay? I'm going to point out 6 things, 6 irrational belief patterns that may be hindering you from going to the next level. One of them is undeserving. I do not deserve the good measure that flows with success. I just don't deserve it. I just can't see myself as being in this position. I don't deserve it. This often comes from things that people said to you or about you. And they have convinced you, they programmed you to see yourself in a limited parameter. And so when you see opportunities beyond how you've been programmed, you reject it because you don't feel like you're deserving of it. The other one is beyond undeserving is ordinary. I do not want to stand apart or be different. I want to fit in. You'd be surprised at the people, because they have a belief system that holds on to being ordinary, they will not take the lead. I am afraid that I will become a target, and you will. I want to let me say that to you too, in the name of honesty. If you take the lead, you will become a target. But just because they're shooting at you doesn't mean they shot you. In fact, some of you should rejoice in the fact that somebody has emptied out their quiver of arrows shooting at you, and you are still here. And that person that wouldn't go out and do what you did for fear of being shot at didn't recognize that because of your faith and your convictions, you have been able to pass through the arrows that have been shot at you and survive. But you have to have courage to do that, and you have to get rid of your fear to do that, and you have to be able to see arrows zinging by you, people hating on you, controversy rising all around you, and you have to say like Job, though he slay me, yet shall I trust him. The third belief system that may be hindering you is social change. I fear rejection, loneliness, or claims that I have changed or sold out. I don't want to be rejected by my sociological environment. And this is very, very important to minorities. Because when you are a minority, there is a clannish survival mechanism that fits in. No matter what kind of minority you are in any situation. I was in Mexico a while ago, and a gentleman came up and said to me, if you're going to rent a boat, because I like to rent boats and go fishing, he said, if you're going to rent a boat for me because I'm an American. Because in that setting, he was a minority. And the idea is we have to stick together. Watch out for we's. Because people will control you with a we. And you will miss your opportunity at what may be the best deal for you, trying to be loyal to the we. It's what we teach our children about peer pressure. And all of a sudden, in order to fit in your sociological environment, you passed up the promotion. You wouldn't buy the house that was the best deal for you because it moved you out of the neighborhood that you were defined by. You passed up the position that you wanted to take because now your girlfriends won't like you because you're now managing the girls you used to run with. And so in order to fit in, you're going to stay in the seat that I started this sermon from rather than to take your rightful place behind this rostrum because you want the people you're sitting beside to like you and accept you. Oh. And you don't want to be a sellout. Oh my. The next one I want to deal with is fleeting. My success will be temporal and I will not be able to sustain it. You have performance anxiety. You're afraid that it won't last. It won't last. Good things won't last. You don't want to go out on a date because if you go out on the date and you start a relationship and things start going well, it's not going to last. I didn't know it going to last. It didn't last before. It didn't last with Fred. It didn't last with Jim. It's not going to last. I'm not going to take this position because if I get in this position, I may lose this job. It's not going to last. I'm not going to go back to school because I may not complete it. It will not last. And you have a fear that the blessing is fleeting. So you won't get back out on the boat and throw your nets again because you have already programmed yourself that nothing else exciting is ever going to happen to you again. And as I go through these belief systems, I want you to look for the ones that sound like you. Have I hit anything yet? The next one I want to talk about is perfectionism. I will have to behave as if I am perfect and I am not. I believe this was part of Peter's problem. When he saw the power of God to bless him, he recognized the power of God to destroy him. Think about that. When he saw the power of God to bless him, he recognized the power of God to destroy him. He said, "Get out of here, Jesus. Depart from me." Why? Because I know I've got imperfections. And I don't want to get in the light because somebody might see them. And so I'm going to be secretly talented. I'm going to sing at home. I'm going to leave the church and say what they ought to do and what somebody ought to say and what somebody ought to write a book about that and somebody ought to get up and say something. And I'm going to drive home locking my treasure up inside of me because I am imprisoned by my imperfections. And I don't want anybody to know that I'm not perfect. Even though I'm good at this, I'm weak at that. Peter said, "Look, you've made me a great fisherman, but I'm a sinful man. Go." I reject the opportunity to be blessed because I know something about myself that I don't want anybody else to know, and I'm more concerned about the security of my reputation than I am my progress. Perfectionism. I'm not going to get involved with him because if I get involved with him and he gets too close to me, he will see that I'm not perfect. Being able to balance your imperfection. They may not even be moral imperfections. In the case of dating, it may be physical imperfection. Oh no, he couldn't physically want me, I'm too fat. Where you don't give the person the chance to accept you because you've already criticized yourself over it. You'd be surprised at the people who talk other people out of loving them. Convince them that you're not attractive. Oh, no, Lord, no, don't look at me, no, God, oh, God, no. You know exactly what to do to move up into the next position, but you don't want the light on you because you have issues. Newsflash, everybody has issues. Pastor Robinson just shouted out junk in the trunk. Everybody has junk in the trunk. And if you're waiting to clean out all the junk before you put your pedal to the metal and drive and go forward, you may be stuck 20 years cleaning out the trunk. I'm going to go on to this next one. Besiegement. I will be besieged by others wanting things from me. My loved ones will feel entitled to a measure of my success. I don't want all the controversy that goes along with this. I don't want this. I don't want this. Don't give me the power of attorney, mama, because I don't want to deal with my sisters and brothers. Don't give me the position because if I become manager of the department, my friends won't invite me out anymore. And you start doing crazy things trying to prove to them that you are still who you were because people will put pressure on you to stay low. And all of a sudden you're afraid that they're going to demand things from you. And it is true, as you go up, there are a great deal of people who associate with you because of where you are and not who you are. And people start fighting over your level of success. If you don't believe it, talk to any NFL athlete, anybody who goes pro in sports. All of a sudden people change when they think you got a little something, something. And all of a sudden it was just fine. They normally would just be talking about everything in life, but people have a way of having these little conversations. you know, child, I'm going through. I'm just going through. I'm just going through. I'm just going through. My rent's like 3 months behind, man. I know it ain't no big deal for somebody got all the kind of money you got, because you loaded, you don't have to deal with no kind of stuff like this. But you know, $2,400 would set me straight. That's probably change to you, but man, I'm telling you, the pressure is so great. When I was in South Africa years ago, and the first generation of blacks in South Africa who were oppressed in the apartheid were now freed and becoming successful, that some of the article said some of them were ready to leave South Africa because so many people were pulling and clawing at them. Because when you first start going up amongst people who haven't gone up, they have a tendency to be like crabs in a barrel, and they start trying to pull you down because they say, you know, you're the first one in our family to get a degree. You ought to take care of this and you ought to take care of that. And after a while, they pull you down so low. Some of you know what I'm talking about. They pull you down so low and some people, for fear of having that pressure on them, forfeit the success and stay down rather than to go forward.